Hey, what's up, y'all? You know what time it is. You're about to play some Fortnite, get into a solo. And another thing, I'm gonna do a reaction video on this Matrix Resurrection. Matrix Resurrections. It was a pretty good movie, I'll say. This might contain some spoiler alerts, but if you don't mind spoiler alerts, stay tuned.
Welcome to Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy. Let's talk about The Matrix Resurrections. We're going to go through Easter eggs, explain the hidden meaning behind the movie, and talk about what that ending means. But first of all, I want to provide a little context for the movie's meaning. Explaining this at the beginning of the video will help us to understand and discuss the movie's themes throughout the rest of the video. First of all, the original Matrix movie was very much about the internet of its time, 1999. People logged into the Matrix through phone lines and assumed code names, just like you would in your AOL chat rooms. So the Matrix was about how people use the internet.
On top of that, 1999 was a wild year. I mean, we had the Y2K crisis. We thought the world was going to end. We had the Charizards coming out. Everybody was trying to get a Charizard. Man, that was some good times right there. If you didn't have that Charizard, you should have bought one for $20 from your friend in the 7th or 8th grade. Somebody had a Charizard, first edition too, but those were some wild times. But before I get into it, let me jump out of this battle bus. I forgot to thank the bus driver and get into my random Bible verse. Lord Jesus, the devil's been trying to take me out and tempt me in temptations, but I didn't give in. Thank you, Lord, for keeping me strong. Let's get into a prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. What verse you got for me today? We in the book of Judges, chapter 1, verse 19. And the Lord was with Judah, and he drave out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of iron. Amen. So people be getting drove out of the mountains and stuff. If he had them chariots of iron, something that was made it hard for him. I don't know. I ain't no preacher like that, but let's get back into this Matrix and this game, Fortnite. Let's go.
But the Matrix Resurrections is about how the internet is using us, how algorithms control our emotions, tell us what to like, and use our familiarity with franchises to control how we feel about certain products that corporations are trying to sell us. Also,
we got the algorithm going on. The algorithm is pretty smart. Like, I could be thinking of something to look up on the internet, and then right when I turn on my damn internet app, it's already there. Like, wow.
Patrick Harris's villain, the Analyst. We have a lot to explain about him later in the video. But throughout this video, think of him as the embodiment of reboot culture and the embodiment of social media. In other words, he is like the all-knowing, all-seeing YouTube algorithm. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about this movie. We begin with the green Matrix code, just like in the original movies, but in this one, some of the code is flowing upward to indicate the resurrection of Neo and Trinity. We also begin with the voiceovers of the crew of Bug's ship, just as the original began with the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar. And we see the same final numbers on the screen, 556. And finally, we end on the single cursor. But this time, Bug says this is old code, but it feels familiar. Now what she's talking about in the movie is Neo's modal. This is a tiny matrix that he has created within the matrix itself that is used to develop a character's AI by running them through several simulations. In this case, he was creating and perfecting a version of Morpheus.
I'm already lost. It's a lot of technicalities going on in this. I'm trying to understand what they're talking about. They got the AI, we got the resurrection going upwards, the code, the fake codes. Dang.
Morpheus. But he actually created this Morpheus almost subconsciously. Even though he's chosen this blue pill life, he still wants to get out of the Matrix. Since there is no real Morpheus, he created a new one. Then he created a world for him to exist inside, where he could become self-aware after running through simulations over and over and over.
No one was ever in the key shop, so I started looking.
So when Bug says this feels like old code, it's because this is Neo recreating the original Matrix. And he knows that code because, well, he sees the Matrix. But in a meta way, old code that feels familiar is referring to this reboot that we are currently watching. The movie has a lot to say about the state of blockbuster cinema, specifically regarding franchises and reboots. Since making the Matrix trilogy, the Wachowskis have spent decades creating highly ambitious original projects, when what the movie-going public demanded from them was more Matrix movies. After all, there's hardly a property now that hasn't been rebooted, where we're given the same story with a younger, more ethnically...
Before you confuse me with all that extra stuff that he's undoubtedly knowing about, when I watched this new Resurrections movie, I was like, I didn't feel that connection the first time I watched it like I did with the first Matrix. The first Matrix, I was more like, this is deep. There's really an alternate universe going on, and I don't even know about it, and I'm waking up to it. But when the Resurrections came out and I watched it, I was more lost. Like, maybe there isn't really an alternate universe, or I wasn't really paying attention, but it seemed like I wasn't really connected like I was connected with the first Matrix, if that makes any sense. Because with the first Matrix, I actually felt like I could identify with Neo, and it actually felt like I was part of the story, like I was actually waking up. But this Matrix that's coming out, I felt like it was coming out with incorporating today's theologies, like he's saying the algorithm and how the internet is playing a big part in today's society. But let me continue this.
Diverse cast, and the studio banks on our nostalgia to get us to empty our pocketbooks.
Nostalgia. It's delicate.
Nothing comforts anxiety like better nostalgia.
Bug even goes on to say that events in the modal are the same but different. Using old code to create something new pretty much describes the entire filmography of J.J. Abrams. So this movie is about the studio corporate structure that controls what media we see, specifically saying that the movie studios themselves are the Matrix. Moving on, the first scene opens just like The Matrix, with SWAT team members tracking down a Trinity lookalike. But the first movie began with the light shining in our eyes, essentially saying that the filmmakers were about to shed light on the truth of our existence, to show us the light, as it were. But this movie starts on a reflection, a puddle, which makes the police inverted. This is a way of saying that what we're seeing now is just a reflection of what's come before. A reflection that is less than because it's dirty and on the ground. The broken window behind the Trinity lookalike matches the shape of the tear in the movie screen that we see later, because just like that screen, this is a damaged facsimile of a real event. Morpheus, as Agent Smith says,
"Your men are already dead."
Your men are already dead.
One of many dialogue callbacks in the film. When Bugs escapes, the sign that she grabs.
Why didn't have the original Morpheus? What's his name? The dude that played from Boys in the Hood. Like, I was kind of missing like the reason why they didn't have OG Morpheus. I guess they brought a simulation Morpheus. I don't know. That was weird.
Grabs onto is called Anderson's, a way for the model's creator, Thomas Anderson, to insert an Easter egg into the game. And the falling sparks also symbolize the falling lines of the Matrix code. As she escapes from the agents, Morpheus pulls her through a door into the back channel pathways that we first saw in Matrix Reloaded. Remember how earlier I said that the original Matrix was a reflection of its time, how people used a hard phone line to connect to the Matrix? Well, in this movie, they don't need a phone line, just a mirror, because in the present day, we are all kind of always online. And instead of using a phone line, we use our phones, a kind of small black mirror. Morpheus pulls her into Thomas Anderson's apartment from Matrix 1. Bugs reveals that she was once a window cleaner. Now this calls back to this shot from Neo's office in Matrix 1, where the falling suds are also meant to mirror the code of the Matrix. Morpheus also mentions that he saw patterns.
When Morpheus pulls the girl with the blue hair, it wasn't really believable because she could have really got a shot off on him and kind of, but I don't know, she was just stuck there like, why did you save me? Like,
in the rain, and just like in the original Matrix, falling water always represents the cascading code of the Matrix. Now I do like that this Morpheus is also a hybrid with the personality of Agent Smith, and that's made him a little insane. It also keeps Yahya Abdul-Mateen II from doing just an impression of Lawrence Fishburne throughout the movie. This Morpheus is his own unique character. Now in the city there is a movie playing called The Root of All Evil. As the saying goes, money is the root of all evil. Okay. So why is there a movie playing with this title? Because blockbuster cinemas are now obsessed with reboots and big franchises. Stories that are familiar but don't really challenge us in many ways, just like how Neo chooses to take the safe blue pills. These movies are comforting, but they cause us to atrophy, to stop growing. This complacency allows the evil of the analyst to exist, and it all comes from money. The root of all evil. I loved how this movie introduced new ideas into the world of the Matrix, like how they can also free the sentient programs from their programming and extract them into the real world. Just like they say in the movie, this is the piece that Neo and Trinity fought so hard to.
That's the little scary part about it, when they got the sentients coming from the Matrix into the real world. Like, if that correlates with today's reality, can the algorithm produce things in reality in the sort of way? Because if you think about it, the algorithm is kind of getting hip to the way we think and our thought patterns and stuff, they could kind of manipulate our behavior also. So that, what if the algorithm is becoming smarter than man, and then all of a sudden slowly starts the rise of the machines and takes over and creates realities from nothing. Basically, we are already buying intangible objects. Like on Fortnite, I'm buying skins that I can't even really touch in real life. Can the algorithm cross over into reality? That's the question.
Reach. So then we meet Neo, living the life of a 60-something-year-old programmer who creates a fully immersive video game called The Matrix. This game essentially retold the story of the original movies. But this isn't just here to be meta and self-referential.
I mean, come on, Charlie Kaufman. Some of us have work in the morning, damn.
The analyst has created a new Matrix where everyone is fully aware of the Matrix and the idea of simulations. So if someone were to suggest to one of these people that they were in a simulation, they would say, oh yeah, like that game. That's all made up. That's not real. I'm not in a simulation. So by controlling fiction, the analyst controls their view of reality. By turning the truth into fiction, by being upfront with the lie, he makes the truth unbelievable.
They took your story,
unbelievable.
Something that meant...
Right. That's exactly how I feel with this Resurrections. I didn't feel really a connection with the old Matrix. At first, I felt like I was waking up, and now with the Resurrections movie, it feels like I'm going to sleep.
Oh, much to people like me. And turned it into something trivial.
Neo is working for a company called Binary that he co-founded with Secret Agent Smith. Binary is one of the main themes of the movie. For one thing, it's the most basic computer language. Computers understand ones and zeros, on and off. 01 was even the name of the machine city that existed before the war with humans that we saw in the Animatrix. But as we'll see later on, Neo and Trinity also form a powerful binary. Later in the movie, binaries are directly referenced, saying that the entire world is made up of binaries. Night and day, plants and animals, death and life. Smith and Neo are a binary, two sides of the same coin. But most importantly, this new Matrix is based on the binary of two individuals, Neo and Trinity. But I'll explain that later in the video. When Bugs offers Morpheus the pills, she tells him that choice is an illusion because his mind was already made up. Now, what this means is that sometimes people know what they want, but they need to be offered that choice, a door to walk through, if you will. For instance, Neo knew that he wanted to escape the Matrix, which is why he created the new Morpheus. He just needed someone to come along and offer him a choice. The coffee shop he frequents is called Senyu Latte, which is a cute pun on simulation, but it has a deeper meaning. It's a coffee bar because people use coffee to stay awake, just like how Neo is trying to stay awake through this Matrix experience, so he can eventually wake up again. His friend at the company is basically a handler for the machines named Jude, probably a nod to Judas, since Neo is a Christ figure. Judas, of course, was one of Jesus' good friends who betrayed him, just like Jude does. Jude talks to him about the original Matrix games and how they changed his life.
The first time I played the trilogy, I was shook.
This is very meta because I am sure Lana Wachowski has heard the same conversation from thousands of fans over the years. And Jude ends by asking him if he believes in determinism or free will, which is the major theme of the Matrix sequels. In today's world, this theme is actually more relevant than ever. Take the YouTube algorithm. It monitors everything you watch and consume on this platform. So if you like Matrix videos, you probably saw this video pop up on your page, which begs the question, did you click on this video because you chose to or because the algorithm manipulated you to?
Exactly.
You know, in the original Matrix, it was all about how the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar was able to hack into the Matrix and keep hidden from the machines. And they were able to maintain their privacy because their software security was airtight. Unfortunately, not all of us have the benefit of using tech built in a sci-fi dystopia, but you can use Nordvpn, the sponsor of this video. Nordvpn offers you secure internet. All of your internet data stays safe behind a wall of next-generation encryption. They also have a strict no logs policy. They don't track, collect, or share your private data. I also use NordVPN to get the most out of my streaming services. Say there's a movie that I want to watch, like the original Spider-Man trilogy. Right now, those movies are not on Disney Plus or Netflix, and I am tired of paying for so many streaming services and none of them ever having the exact movie that I want to watch. But NordVPN has more than 5,400 servers in 59 countries, so I can change my IP address and watch any movie that is streaming anywhere in the world. This is like adding 3 streaming services on top of the ones that you're already paying for. You can also use NordVPN on multiple devices, like your desktop, phone, or how I use it on my Apple TV. So we have a deal for Screen Crush fans. If you go to nordvpn.com/screencrush or click the link in the description, you get a huge discount on a 2-year plan and 1 month for free. Go to nordvpn.com/screencrush to get your deal today. Back to the Easter eggs. Thomas Anderson co-owns a company called Deus Machina, which means God in the Machine. In the ancient Greek theater, conflicts would often be resolved by actors playing gods who were lowered to the stage in a contraption, the machine, and then these gods solved everyone's problems. But in this movie, it has another meaning. The movie itself is a god machine. Let me explain. There are a lot of media where the characters in a story become aware that they're in a story. Adaptation, Neverending Story, Rick and Morty, Bugs Bunny.
That's neckties.
Just to name a few. Now, this usually seems like a gimmick that's too cute by half, but think about it. The creators of a movie are essentially gods who have created their own little universe, a universe that lives in our imagination. So for millions of people, it feels real.
Our memories turned into fiction and
These filmmakers are gods, controlling the fate of their characters. Now in the Bible, God created the earth and the heavens, but then had to create humans. Humans are made in God's own image. Why did God do that? Because a truly powerful God has the power to create sentient beings who can choose to love him. Any god can create a few animals, just like any filmmaker can create a story. But creating something that is self-aware, that would take a truly powerful god, or a very good filmmaker. Now apply this to what I said earlier about the analysts. These people are aware of the idea of a simulation, but they still choose to believe that simulations aren't real. Later on, the analyst says that when people hate and feel stronger emotions, they create more energy. So, by creating a world for sentient beings who choose to stay here, he is generating more power. Controlling sentient beings is the ultimate act of godhood. Agent Smith's new incarnation quotes the original Agent Smith, which here is a quote from a video game starring the original Agent Smith.
Controlling sentient beings. People that's controlling the algorithm.
He tells Neo that their first meeting had all the charm of an FBI interrogation, which reminds him of meeting Agent Smith and his mouth sealing shut. But then he says, and this is important, this is what makes them good business partners. Just like in the movies, Neo and Smith oppose one another, which is entertaining. And this new Matrix is all about keeping people entertained and engaged.
Desire and fear, baby. Just give the people what they want, right?
He even says,
I'm sure you can understand why our beloved parent company, Warner Brothers, has decided to make a sequel to the trilogy.
What?
Now, a lot of people will think this line is some kind of Bugs Bunny joke.
They really messing with your mind. How are you gonna say straight up that line right there? Like, that's really trippy.
But I love it. Lana Wachowski is saying that Warner Brothers and all the movie studios are the root of all evil. And then we finally meet the analyst and notice that he's wearing blue eyeglasses to match the blue choice people make to stay here. Now in the shots in his office, Neo is framed with a maze behind him on the wallpaper to show that he is now traveling through this new matrix trying to find his way out. The analyst's cat is named Deja Vu, and it gives him the power to rewind and remake events, just like how a movie studio is able to turn back the clock and give us another Star Wars, another Spider-Man, a Matrix, etc. In the original Matrix, a Deja Vu was explained like this.
Deja Vu is usually a glitch in the Matrix. It happens when they change something.
But this world is built on Deja Vu.
Like,
it's built on repetition, nostalgia, and the familiar occurring.
That's a trip when you have a deja vu in real life. Like when I have one, I really try to hold on to it for as long as I can. So basically when a deja vu happens, I try to predict what's going to happen next and then see how long I could carry it out. And sometimes that could last for like 30 seconds to almost a minute, but then after trying to carry out for so long, you end up getting lost in it.
Over and over and over. Later on, there's a montage where the creatives say the same thing every day.
What made Matrix different? It effed with your head. What made Matrix different? It effed with your head.
This is saying that there are no new ideas in movie studios anymore. Everything is just repeated from the day before. The montage also shows Thomas getting on a blue-hued treadmill, a way to show that he is running in place every day. And the song that plays in this montage is White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, a song that is about drugs and Alice in Wonderland. And of course, there was a lot of Alice symbolism in the original Matrix.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice.
There's also the White Rabbit and Passing Through the Looking Glass, both of which are repeated in this movie. Bugs even has a rabbit tattoo and says that her name is Bugs, like the bunny, which is also owned by Warner Brothers. Sati even gives Trinity a copy of Alice in Wonderland later in the movie. Thomas Anderson tells the analyst that he's either crazy or in a simulation, and the analyst replies, that's not a good choice either way. And this is actually what the analyst does best. He makes people think they don't have a choice, that this is the only way. You can only choose safety or insanity, but either way, keep scrolling. scrolling, and I don't have to explain what the blue
Alright, so what I'm getting from this is that the blue represents people that wants to stay locked into their dream world. So that's why it's showing people that's wearing blue hair, blue glasses, whatever. But also the Bugs Bunny thing, like, that's weird.
Red pills mean, right?
Blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
After all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
No one can be told what the Matrix is. You gotta see it to believe it.
They took every idea, every dream, everything that's important to us. That's what the Matrix does.
We can't go back.
I have to try.
The Matrix Resurrections, rated R. And this is a very good put together piece by Screen Crush. Yeah, they did a very good putting this together. But also wanted to say, like, okay. Anyways, I forgot what I was gonna say. Shoot.
And there are actually two coffee shops in the movie, which I think is significant. One is Simulate. This is very clean, Starbucks looking. It's a corporate space. This is where the analyst headquarters himself later in the movie. This is a place of control and uniformity. The other is where Saji works, which is smaller, more independent, a little more quirky. There's graffiti there that says it's easier to buy reality than to live your dreams. Again, connecting money to this false reality the analyst has built, and also connecting the idea of real life, of living, to dreaming of something bigger, a world beyond. During his blue montage, Neo eats a steak, much like Cypher did when he sold his soul to the machine.
Soul to the machine.
In my mouth. The Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious.
We also see him in this elevator, again, with a looking glass ceiling, showing that he is looking at a reflection of the real world.
He's got everything.
His game is a reflection of the actual reality outside the Matrix. Everyone on the elevator is on their phones except for him. Now this really hits home the driving theme of the movie. The first films were about our mutual reliance with machines. They need us, we need them.
Sometimes I think about all those people still plugged into the Matrix, and when I look at this machine, I can't help thinking that in a way we are plugged into them.
Each side of the war used the other to survive. But now, social media has kind of become our own little personal matrix that we've created for ourselves. Social media has an algorithm designed to keep you scrolling endlessly. This algorithm understands the human brain and how we think, just like the analyst. And to keep us engaged, social media knows how to make us feel like we're missing out on something, or knows how to piss us off. And the algorithm just feeds on this engagement.
Quietly yearning to what you don't have, while dreading losing what you do.
So the analyst knows how the human brain works, which is all.
And that's my point. Like, they're like all this data collection and being contributed into the algorithm. It's just going to become too powerful, and then it's going to probably manipulate us into our own destruction. You never know. Like, what if the algorithm is like humans are tripping out? If they keep it up the way they are, the planet's going to be destroyed, and there's no longer going to be the existence of me, the algorithm. So then it's going to probably manipulate humans into like maybe like cause catastrophe. I don't know. But if you have iron chariots,
so why he's a psychologist, someone who is trained to understand how humans think. When Neo and Trinity meet, she talks about having kids.
I remember wanting family, but was that because that's what women are supposed to want? How do you know if you want something yourself, or if your upbringing programmed you to want it?
Again, going back to the theme of control, free will or determinism. In Neo's office, he gets a text message from Morpheus telling him how to escape, mirroring the phone call from the first film. And when it all goes sideways, the falling water from the sprinkler symbolizes that he's starting to see the code of the Matrix. And when Morpheus finally sees Neo, his first words are the same that he speaks in the original film.
At last,
Matrix. Now, it is interesting that the Neo in the Matrix is being controlled by his creation, the video game The Matrix. I wonder if Lana Wachowski ever felt this way, like her career was being controlled by the popularity of those movies. When Bugs finally meets Neo, the door they walk through mirrors the door of the Source in Matrix Reloaded, where he learned the truth of what the Matrix is. Morpheus and the others bring Neo to a theater where they have recreated the set from the original rescue scene.
I know, I understand all what he's saying kind of, but also, like, what if the Matrix just boils down to taking drugs and then you start to see the world differently? Because in a nutshell, he's handing him a blue and a red pill, and then all of a sudden things become different. Could this be like a promotion of just taking drugs? Because I know if you're under certain psychedelics or some type of drug that could induce shaman-like rituals, you're gonna see things that normally a normal mind doesn't really see. Damn it. Oh, there it goes, right there.
In the Matrix, and the original Matrix scene plays behind him.
This is footage from your game.
So we have a fiction, the actual movie we're watching, showing us a fiction. The movie from 1999 and the movie that we're currently watching, Matrix Resurrections, is showing us a fiction. The game that Neo built inside the movie, which is showing in front of another fiction, the stage set.
You happy?
Now, while this seems like a lot of lies and fiction piled on top of each other, what really matters here, what's real, is how it makes you feel. It's the emotional connection that all these fictions make for us in our own lives.
What validates and makes your fictions real? Feelings.
This setting also goes back to the metaphor of Plato's cave.
What validates and makes your fiction real? Feelings. The algorithm could evoke feelings and emotions. It will make things real.
Cave. It goes like this. A prisoner is chained inside a cave for their entire lives, and he can only see his own shadow from the fire behind him. So he assumes that the shadow is reality, never dreaming that there is a fire just back there, and that beyond that fire there is a real world outside a cave with sunshine and a big sky. Just like the people who live in the Matrix can never imagine a reality greater than the one they currently live in. Neo, of course, takes the red pill and eventually passes through the looking glass, where he hatches from his pod just like in Matrix 1, and the first words that he hears are also the same. It is interesting that the analyst also uses a mirror to get Neo to stay, going back to how our phones are mirrors that pull us into their small pocket reality of the internet. Morpheus helps Neo back to the real world by bringing him into the construct and showing him their first encounter on TV. In fact, it's the same.
Hold on. So basically, if the algorithm evokes feelings, you gotta always remember that those feelings are not actually real, that they're manipulated feelings. So the best solution to keep you healthy, especially mentally, is to recognize when you are feeling a certain way from social medias that it's not 9 times out of 10 that it's not real. It's more so manipulated.
Same TV. He also trains him in a similar dojo. When Neo is coming out of it, Bugs says,
"That's what the Matrix does. It weaponizes everything, every dream."
Because the studio is the Matrix.
It's all about fiction. The only world that matters is the one in here.
Then
I have lost 25 pounds with Neo.
I've lost 97 pounds with Noom.
I've lost 25 pounds on Noom.
I lost 17 pounds with Noom.
I have lost 30 pounds using Noom.
I've lost 92 pounds on Noom.
Since I started Noom, I've lost 70 pounds.
I've lost.
Then we meet the new crew, including the granddaughter of this guy, Captain Roland. I was impressed that this new crew all made it through the movie, unlike the original crew of Nebuchadnezzar.
Not like this.
Now we learn that after the peace was reached at the end of Revelations, there was a machine civil war. Notice we see them fighting with red lasers and blue lasers. Blue being the forces of the analysts who want to create a newer, better Matrix by purging all the old programs and starting fresh. And the red lasers represent the good machines who want to live in peace with humans. I love seeing all the sentient machines in the real world, including the magnetic cloud of Morpheus. It's a very cool idea and a great way to expand on this story. Then we enter the new capital of humanity, Io. Lots and lots and lots of symbolism tied to this name. For one thing, Io looks like a 1 and a 0, like the binary, 1s and 0s, representing the two binaries here, people and the sentient machines. But going back to Greek mythology, Io was one of the lovers of Zeus, and he turned her into a cow to protect her from his wife, Hera. In the same way, Io is built to stay hidden from the machines.
Just got better at hiding from them.
Now, in Greek myth, Hera eventually captured Io when she was still a cow and kept her trapped in that form. But being a cow isn't a bad thing. Cows provide milk and they create young. In the same way, Io is built to foster new life. It's a more feminine society led by a woman, Niobe. They try to grow new plants and live in peace, leaving a life of war behind.
Could have never made something like this.
In Greek mythology, Hera also cursed Io to have a gadfly follow her around, preventing her from resting, just as the humans are being hunted by the machines. In Io, we see people living peacefully among the machines, just like we do with our Alexas.
Have you seen
Alexa, shut the
Matrix?
fuck up. When Niobe and Neo reunite, they mention Gozer's Hooch. Remember that character from Matrix 1?
It's a single-celled protein combined with synthetic aminos, vitamins, and minerals.
The Matrix, the movie.
And when they re-enter the Matrix, they meet Agent Smith and the Merovingian from Matrix Reloaded.
No, I haven't seen it. I can watch it now.
We are forever slaves to it.
And this guy hates modern reboots. He likes old classy things that are like books that are European.
Films, books, we're all better. Originality mattered.
Now Smith was also controlled by the Analyst because he and Neo are linked. Remember, Revelations ends with Neo letting Smith absorb him, which gives the machines access to his code, since Neo allowed himself to be connected to the machine leader as well. And of course this line is a callback to this.
I know Kung Fu.
Smith and Neo fight in a train station just like in Matrix 1, and he even throws around rabbit punches at Neo. Then the Analyst reveals that Trinity and Neo are the combination that makes this new Matrix work.
Acids and bases, you're dangerous when mixed together.
So, before Neo, there were 6 other Chosen Ones who all chose to restart the Matrix to save humanity. But Neo instead chose to rescue Trinity for one reason.
Vis-a-vis love.
Neo's love for Trinity upset the machine system of control. Then he says,
the worse we treat you, the more we manipulate you, the more energy you produce.
Which is a metaphor for storytelling, a way to draw money from the audience. And like I said earlier, it's also a metaphor for the way that we engage online with social media.
People stay in their pods, happier than pigs in shit.
In the context of this movie, the Analyst feeds off Trinity's sadness and longing because it creates dramatic tension. The humans escape to form a plan with the grown-up Sati from Reloaded.
That's where the train goes. That's where we're going. But you cannot go with us.
Smith turns everyone into zombies, which is a way cooler version of...
So in this case, if I could think of the algorithm as a personality, I would think it has ADHD, or it lacks some type of attention, because people get addicted to the algorithm, and the algorithm is addicting, so they want to stay on there forever. Like, why won't it let you be free, set a timer, okay, I had enough attention, now let me go? No, the algorithm is going to still want attention, or should I say certain media websites, they're going to still want your attention, they want your time. And that's somebody that's lacking some type of attention. That's like an attention disorder. So with that being said, the algorithm needs to be healed or needs some medication.
Of him creating an army of himself in the Matrix sequels. And these helicopter shots mirror one another as well. In this last battle, Neo discovers that he can't fly anymore. But, as we see later, he and Trinity can fly together. You might be wondering why. Neo could fly in the original Matrix movies because he was a product of that Matrix. He was the remainder, an anomaly, that could
remake the Matrix as he saw fit.
But in this movie, he and Trinity are the basis for this Matrix.
The key to it all? You and her, quietly yearning for what you don't have.
So they later realize that they can...
That's the part I don't like. How they gonna take away the flying ability from Neo? He is that guy. It's no for that Matrix. No, he's for all Matrix to fly. Why they try to dumb it down? They trying to take away the powers. When you identify with that character, and that's who you trying to be, not be, but you and yeah, I'm trying to follow something like that, trying to wake up, and then they trying to take away your powers, make you feel kind of funny, rub you a different type of way.
remake reality within it however they like. The analyst ends the movie with a speech that perfectly encapsulates the theme of this film.
The sheeple, they like my world. They don't want freedom or empowerment. They want to be controlled. They crave the comfort of certainty. And that means you two, back in your pods.
In the Matrix, the bubbles are their battery cocoons. But for us, it's the lives that we live online. And I love that Trinity thanked the god of reboots at the end.
You gave us something we never thought we could have. Another chance.
Because even though reboots often retread the same stories, they do give these actors work. And I don't know if you stayed for the post-credit scene, but it basically summarizes what all entertainment is.
Got videos.
But give me your thoughts, theories, and questions down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.
Wow, man, thank you, Screen Crush. That's a fire video, the breakdown of the Matrix, and like, you kind of just answered some of the things I was thinking. I'm just gonna just rant a little bit. Alright, so basically I'm gonna recap the Matrix for me and how I genuinely felt about it when I watched it. Like I said earlier, I didn't have that connection like I did with the first Matrix. I think the first Matrix kind of set the bar pretty high to try to follow up on. And if you were looking for some type of answers in this last Matrix as far as what's next, I don't think it really delivered on that. I felt like it was just more of something to throw together, and like the dude said in Screen Crush, to give anyways, I'm not even building already with this damn internet connection. I gotta play when it's better, but yeah, I didn't really feel the connection with this last one. It was like, I was excited when this new Resurrection was gonna come out, like, alright, finally, like, I get to figure out what's gonna happen next in this after the trilogy, and it was just more like, that's what y'all came up with. So basically, I no longer identify with Neo. Basically, the machines and humans are working together through some type of gray area, which was the Morpheus in this one. Like, what is it called? I forgot the name of it, but they kind of piercing through the false reality into the real reality. So what I did get from it is like the algorithm, like I said, could kind of manipulate real life, in which it has proven to do. You have people on social medias getting their feelings evoked a certain way, and that causes them to react a certain way, and that's in turn causing a causation effect. So basically, we're living in an era where the algorithm is now an entity that's part of humanity. Oh damn, we live in an era where the algorithm is a personality. Artificial intelligence. And I don't know if this is true or not. I saw something where brain cells are being used to control things, like control computers and robots. I'm not sure if that's true, but I don't know. That's my daily, and I'm gonna get out of here because my internet's not working. That's hard for me to get a dub. I gotta work on my camping techniques and get my internet right, and then I'll be back. All right.